A lot has been said about the Polestar 3 SUV already, but apparently there are quite a few things that haven't been revealed just yet. So in today's video, we'll unveil all the hidden secrets that you don't know about the Polestar 3 SUV. Do well to stick around to the end so you don't miss out on anything important. In June 2021, Polestar first showed us what the 3 SUV would look like. It wasn't what we expected to see. Actually, we didn't see anything tangible because the Polestar 3 was covered in what looked like a bedsheet, and the Swedish automaker would rather not wake the car up, at least not yet. Fast forward to December that same year, the automaker repeated the same process, but this time the duvet was ripped off and instead the Polestar 3 SUV was dressed in camouflage attire. We only got to see one picture, but we couldn't complain. At least we got to see some of its features. However, some things were still left hidden under the camouflage clothing. Well, not anymore, because we'll be uncovering them in 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's get right into it. It will be made in South Carolina and China. When it was first announced, there were many reports that the Polestar 3 SUV would be a true American car. The Swedish automaker CEO Thomas Ingenlath even went further to confirm this, saying, "I am proud that our first SUV will be manufactured in South Carolina. From now on, the USA is no longer an export market, but a home market." Speaking of that, Polestar doesn't exactly have a car manufacturing plant in South Carolina, but Volvo does. So that basically explains why the Polestar 3 SUV will be built at Volvo's car plant in Ridgeville, Berkeley County, South Carolina. Back to the real story now. Thomas Ingenlath mentioned a few other countries where Polestar has some sort of presence, including China, Sweden, and the UK. But what he didn't officially mention is that the Polestar 3 SUV will be produced simultaneously in China. But from what we know, this sports utility vehicle will be manufactured for both the Chinese and the European market at the 150,000 capacity Chengdu plant in China, which is powered 100% by renewable energy. It will perform like the incoming Lotus Type 132. Another secret that you most likely don't know about the Polestar 3 SUV is that it will have similar features to the Lotus Type 132 in terms of performance. The Lotus Type 132 is set to launch on March 29th, while the Polestar 3 SUV is expected to launch either by the end of the year or early next year. So you can argue that this is a big call. Well, there isn't any strong relationship between Polestar and Lotus to suggest the 3 SUV and Type 132 will share the same engine. However, we've seen more than enough commitment from these two automakers to design and create high-performance EVs, and this, more than anything else, is the basis for our argument. Polestar hopes that the 3 SUV will deliver a total power output of around 871 horsepower, with the help of 2 electric motors. Meanwhile, Lotus expects Type 132 to make between 600 and 750 horsepower. We don't know if this counts for anything, but the Lotus Type 132 will also be manufactured in China. The Polestar 3 SUV will be a different breed from Volvo's EVs. With Volvo going all-electric and considering the tightly knitted relationship between the German carmaker and Polestar, there's a good chance that the Polestar 3 SUV might take a cue from some of the other Volvo EVs. But that's not entirely the case. The Polestar 3 will share the same platform as the Volvo Embla. However, inside sources confirm that the Swedish carmaker is keen to distance itself from Volvo in terms of design. In the words of Polestar's Chief Operating Officer, Jonathan Goodman, the 3 SUV is designed to offer something different. Digital key and video streaming app. Polestar isn't just offering something different in terms of design. The automaker is also raising the stakes by introducing some top-level engineering and technological features for the 3 SUV. Reports say that a Polestar digital key and a video streaming app will be available as standard options on the Polestar 3 SUV. Both technologies are still under development, but they're expected to be ready in time to feature in the 3 SUV. Autonomous driving. Another charming feature of the Polestar 3 SUV that isn't really talked about is its self-driving capability. At its most basic level, the 3 SUV would be able to move autonomously in some scenarios with the help of the Highway Pilot feature. However, the goal is to achieve level 3 hands-free driving sometime during the life cycle of the car. When that time comes, the Swedish automaker wouldn't need to recall the Polestar 3 SUV to get this done, because it will be done via a software upgrade. As for the autonomous driving hardware side of things, an advanced 3rd-generation LiDAR system has been put in place to ensure the car can steer without human help. This technology is available in the Lotus Type 132. But then again, what's the LiDAR system and how does it work? LiDAR, which is short for light detection and ranging, is a combination of software and hardware that gives a car full autonomous capabilities. This will be powered by NVIDIA and Smart Zone sensors, which will be installed on the front, rear, and sides of the vehicle. Tesla's Autopilot and GM Super Cruise offer something similar, but these are largely considered as Level 2 self-driving systems. However, these two are designed to stop working if the driver takes his hands off the wheel or looks away for too long. Android-powered infotainment. Apparently, Polestar isn't leaving anything to chance, including the infotainment. As a result, the Polestar 3 SUV will carry an Android-based infotainment system that supports all Android devices and Google Play Store apps, such as Spotify, Google Maps, Audible, and the likes. Before we discuss the markets where the Polestar 3 SUV will be launched and how soon we can expect that to happen, if you've made it this far, please make sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification button to enjoy more content like this. Launch markets, volume, and pricing. For all we know, Polestar could start taking orders for the Polestar 3 SUVs as early as the second quarter of this year, and the first sets of deliveries should happen within the first quarter of next year. The US and Chinese markets are two of the top favorite markets where the Polestar 3 SUV might launch first. But there are strong rumors that Australia could be one of the earliest markets to welcome the car. In 2023, which has been earmarked as the first year of production, Polestar expects to sell 24,000 units worldwide. That number is expected to rise significantly to 67,000 units in 2024 and 77,000, meaning the Polestar 3 SUV will be a major volume driver for the Swedish automaker. However, that's only a small part of the company's aggressive global marketing campaign. The all-electric car maker entered 9 new markets in 2021 alone, meaning it is now present in 19 markets. And by the second quarter of this year, Polestar hopes to have some presence in Spain, Portugal, Ireland, UAE, and Kuwait. Entering into these markets is one thing, but the success of this model will depend on other factors as well, such as pricing. That brings us to the all-important question: will the Polestar 3 SUV be affordable? Well, affordability is relative and depends exclusively on the budget of the buyer. Rumor mills say that the Polestar 3 will sell for between $60,000 to $80,000. New global soundscape to usher in the Polestar 3 SUV. In order to create an immersive oral experience for customers ahead of the introduction of the Polestar 3 SUV, the car manufacturing company has teamed up with Swedish music composer Lisa Nordstrom to create a soundscape for its stores across the globe. Polestar said the unique sound is categorized into 4 sections, which will be played in the morning, midday, the afternoon, and the evening, adding that the score is more soundscape than a soundtrack. Surprisingly, the score doesn't have hooks, repetitions, choruses, or even lyrics. Who knows how it will sound? Well, you don't need to visit a Polestar dealership to find out. The Polestar soundscape is available on more than 50 different online streaming platforms, including Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify, and others. So tell us, have you learned something new about the Polestar 3 SUV? Leave your comments down below. Be sure to check out these videos being displayed on your screen.